There are a lot of mangas with the central focus of telling a coming-of-age tale. They can range from romance-heavy stories to stories set in dystopian societies. Then you have coming-of-age tales like Oyasumi Punpun, which leaves most of the people utterly shocked and unable to look away. Mangaka Asano Inio's creation has led the manga readers to realize that the coming-of-age stories can be weird, and sometimes really weird, but all the while realistic and drama-filled. Oyasumi Punpun doesn't aim to be deliberately sad, but Asano didn't want to make it a feel-good tale either. It's simply a relatable comic about real issues done in a curious way that makes it worth checking out. But are there any other manga comics that follows Oyasumi Punpun's tone? Well, yes, otherwise this video would have been really short. Here are 10 other series that the fans of Oyasumi Punpun should really check out. On the 10th number, the manga is A Girl on the Shore. Known for the acclaimed Oyasumi Punpun and Solanin, Asano Inio has established his talents with both imagery and written words. His stories are mostly notable for their oppressive and perpetual sense of melancholy. And A Girl on the Shore is certainly no exception. When Komei and Keisuke's relationship begins to take shape, it is apparent that they both are searching for something. Maybe Keisuke wants something more than a kiss from their fair Komei, and maybe Komei is looking for someone better than Misaki, the local playboy. But what they find in each other over the course of summer might be far greater than anything you were expecting. Their lives are going to change, and this will all transpire before the high school exams. Read this if you like Oyasumi Punpun, because this one is also from the same writer. On the next number, the manga name is No Longer Human. No Longer Human by Junji Ito is a classic Japanese novel reimagined by the classic horror artist. The keyword here is reimagined. While this version follows the original very closely, it is still remade to fit the style of Junji and expands on the story with more content. Set in modern-day Tokyo, Dazai's tale details the life of a young man originally from the well-off family from Japan's far north. Yozo Oba is a troubled soul incapable of revealing his true self to others. A weak constitution and the lingering trauma from some abuse administered by a relative forces him to uphold a facade of hollow since high school. The imagery wrenches open the text of the novel one line at a time to sublimate the Yozo's mental landscape into something even more delicate and grotesque. This is the ultimate inard by Ito, a proof that nothing can surpass the terror of the human psyche. On the next number, the manga name is My Solo Exchange Diary. Rarely do I encounter an existence that feels so deserving of my utmost sympathy. My Solo Exchange Diary is a sequel to Kabi Nagata's debut book My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, and through a series of loosely connected letters to her future self, it takes you on a journey of various uncomfortable mental states and emotional struggles of its author, so she keeps trying to make the sense of her life and relationship with her family. In this follow-up to the viral sensation, Nagata Kabi uses engaging diary comics to explore her personal issues surrounding mental health, identity, and intimacy. Her relationship with her parents is growing more and more difficult day after day, and she struggles with the idea of living alone for the first time. Join her on her heart-wrenching, relatable journey through the challenges of adulthood. On the next number, the manga name is The Horizon. Two children unexpectedly meet in the midst of war. After running away from the chaos, they come across a long empty road. With no adults to rely on, the two strangers now become friends, walking alongside each other to see what's at the end of the road. All they hope is to keep being able to move forward without dying. But what kind of trial and tragedy awaits them during their journey for survival? I don't often throw around the word masterpiece, but I think it truly applies to this story. In just 21 chapters, the author manages to build a believable post-apocalyptic world and attaches you to the characters who are traveling through it. The art fits the story extremely well, with its dark, gritty style adding to the already heavy atmosphere of the story. The Horizon does not hold back in addressing deaths, fears, and the darkest parts of the human existence, and is, at least throughout of the majority of the story, extremely nihilistic. On the next number, the manga name is Nijigahara Holograph. Just like a butterfly that constantly travels through the town, the rumor of the mysterious creature lurking in the tunnel behind the school spreads among children. When the body of Arie Kimura's mother is found by the tunnel's entrance next to apparently human traces, the legends seem to be confirmed. Is the end of the world coming? In order to appease the wrath of the beast, the children decides to offer it a sacrifice, the unfortunate Arie, whom they believe to be the cause of the curse. She is shoved into a well that leads to the Nijigahara tunnel, an act that in turn pushes Komatsuzaki, the budding thug who has carried a torch for Arie for a while already, entirely over the edge. Nothing is spelled out clearly in this manga, yet the journey endeavors by those who seek to clarify the hidden meanings behind the mangaka's intent. This will undoubtedly be rewarded with an enhanced mental acuity. Definitely you will enjoy this one. On the 5th number, the manga name is Homunculus. Usamu Nakoshi, a man delusioned with life, meets Manabu Ito, a young medical student bored with life. To relieve his boredom, Ito offers Nakoshi 700,000 yen to undergo a tree panning to see if it will unlock his sixth sense, and Nakoshi eventually agrees. However, much to his dismay and chagrin, it actually succeeds, and now Nakoshi must contend with the seeming homunculi, the metaphysical and symbolic representation of the person's psychological disorder. He now helps people, usually against his own will and often there as well, with resolving their psychological problems. What Homunculus manages to achieve in the end is an experience unlike any other. With its beautiful artwork, subtle impersonable themes, brilliant characters, and macabre narratives, this is not a manga that should be passed up by anybody with an open mind. It is intelligent, it is entertaining, and most importantly, it is memorable. On the 4th number, the manga name is Girl's Last Tour. Two young girls travel through the desolated landscape in search of food, water, and fuel for their precious cat-and-crat motorbike. Although the world they wander through is lonely one, Chito and Yuri finds happiness in little things they encounter on their journey. A forgotten supply of military rations, a hot bath thanks to leaky pipe in the abandoned power plant, or the discovery of a lone autonomous robot protectively guarding a solitary fish. Even if human civilization is dead, these two can always find something to live for. Their dark days gets a little brighter with shooting practices, new books, and snowball fights on the frozen battlefields. Among a scenery of barren landscapes and deserted buildings, Shoujo Sumatsu Ryoko tells an uplifting tale of two girls and their quest to find hope in the bleak and the dying world. On the 3rd number, the manga name is Flowers of Evil. Takao Kasuga, a high school student fascinated by poetry, reveres Charles Baudelaire and even decorates his room with the poet's portraits. On a normal day, Takao forgets his copy of The Flower of the Evil in his classroom. When returning to retrieve it, he steals the sports garment of Nanako Saeki, a model student who Taiko calls his muse and a femme fatale. Deeply ashamed of his act, which he sees as a sin and what others see as a crime, Takao realizes with horror that Sawa Nakamura, his classmate and social outcast, knows about this thief. Blackmailed by her, Takao is now forced to partake in Sawa's disturbing fantasies as she threatens him to reveal his deeds to everyone. Caught in a negative spiral of increasingly traumatic experiences, will Takao be able to break free from Sawa's thorn and atone of his sins? The conclusion to this series is definitely ambiguous, but I cannot advise this to any people, since in order to fully understand all that is said here, one needs to be at least little familiar with the literature and even the language of the philosophy as a whole. However, I can say with confidence that reading this, you will not waste your time in vain. On the next number, the manga name is Not Simple. Ian is a young man from Australia who has never had an easy life. His mother is an alcoholic who cannot stand the sight of him, and his father doesn't give him the time of the day. Yeah, the roles are reversed over here. The only person to care about him is his older sister Kylie. But the pair has been separated with only the promise that when Ian fulfills his goals, they will be reunited. One day, he meets a writer named as Jim who takes an interest in Ian's troubled life and decides to write a novel about him. With a life that's far from simple, will his story have a happy ending? I find that one-volume stories can sometimes be tricky. Many leaves you wanting more, other trying to be too ambitious and end up rushing through the plot, and some amble along the mediocre path and fail to leave much of an overall impression. Luckily, Not Simple doesn't fit into any of the categories. With an engaging plotline and good pacing, the manga doesn't overstretch itself. And the only reason it doesn't leave you yearning for more is because it is well thought out and have a definitive conclusion. On the first number, the manga name is 20th Century Boys. The world is never quite the same once we grow up. Villains and robots that once ran rampant in our imaginations are reduced to drawings in manga. And our lives are distilled until there is little left but a daily grind. So it has been for Kenji. After a childhood of dreams, he now runs his late father's liquor store and is raising his sister's child. The memories and friends from his early years bring him some happiness, but they become tainted as the string of murders find connection to his past. Kenji and his friends must now fight to save the future from their past and unravel the mystery of Friend. Characters in this manga are human to the core. They are weak and easily deceived. Even if they try their best to prevent it, often the plot orchestrated by enigmatic sect still succeeds. But they don't stop trying to play heroes. They grow a lot on the course of the story and evolve along with the world. And yeah, I forgot to tell you that this manga is written by the creator of Monster. The art is alright though, just like Monster, because only a few characters have somewhat acceptable looks. But I guess this adds to the realism. A story of full big-breasted girls and thin baishonens wouldn't have that much of impact. So go read it now and it will be definitely worth your time. And if you enjoyed Naoki Urasawa's Monster, then you might want to check out this video about the list of top 15 animes that are just like Monster. And also, don't forget to check out the recap of complete Monster anime over here that is split into 2 parts. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next one. Sayonara.